A left-wing political action committee is under fire for running ads focusing on a regretful Trump voter. There's just one problem. The guy didn't even vote in the last election. An armed citizen saves the day in Texas, and a British publication highlights a man who gave birth thanks to a female sperm donor. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. I hope you had a great weekend. I want to start with some politics, and in particular, the swing states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. These are the states that helped carry President Trump over the finish line in 2016, and they are highly targeted by the left. And right now, in particular, there is a series of ads that's generating a lot of controversy, a lot of complaints from Republicans, because the media and this left-wing political action group, but I repeat myself, are using ads focusing on their theme is a regretful Trump voter, someone who voted for President Trump in 2016, but now has regrets. And you should too. That's the whole idea. There's one problem. The whole thing is fake. The guy didn't even vote in the 2016 election. Here's a report from the Washington Times. An allegedly regretful Trump voter in Pennsylvania, highlighted in videos by the Democratic Political Action Committee and by the New York Times, never actually voted in 2016. News organizations Jet24, an ABC affiliate, found after checking county voting records that Mark Graham of Erie County, Pennsylvania, did not vote in the presidential election 3 years ago. Mr. Graham is featured in videos funded by America Bridge, a Democratic PAC, as part of a $5 million advertising campaign in the battleground states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So again, in one ad, Graham says that he voted for President Trump, but now has regrets. And it turns out he didn't even vote.
Well, isn't that special?
So Trump campaign communications director Tim Murtaugh, he wasn't going to sit back and just let this go. He tweeted this. He said, well, guy who says he voted for Trump and now regrets it didn't actually vote for Trump. In fact, he didn't vote at all in 2016. It's cool, though. Democrats at American Bridge, liberal PAC, still put him in an ad and won't take it down. The Republican Party of Pennsylvania has gotten into the mix, too, because, again, these ads are fake. They need to come down. So the party in Pennsylvania is complaining. And here's more from the Washington Times. The Republican Party of Pennsylvania also has called for the PAC to take down the ad and apologize. This ad is false, its premise is false, and its messenger has been discredited, said State Republican Chairman Lawrence Tabas in a statement. The organization could easily have determined that Graham had not voted in 2016 by checking the publicly available records at the Erie County Elections Office. And so what's funny is the media gets upset because at almost every rally, President Trump points to the back and calls out the fake news, says they're fake, and you wonder why when you have stories like this. Okay, this is why the media and the left have lost all credibility, the small credibility that the media even had, because they do. They generate fake stories to, deceive the American public, knowing that there's a lot of people out there that aren't paying attention, and we should be. We should be paying attention because this is the kind of stuff that someone in these boardrooms, as they're putting these ads together, says, it's okay to do this. Go ahead and do this. It's not right. It's not accurate. It's not real, but we're going to do it anyway. And that's what we have to watch out for. Next, I want to talk to you about what happened yesterday outside of Fort Worth, because it is a perfect example of what happens when citizens are armed and can defend themselves. We had a person go into a church outside of Fort Worth, shot 2 people, both of them ended up dying, and could have done so much worse. The problem is with this shooter is that he didn't have free rein. Okay, there were armed people in the church. One armed guard was acting as a guard for the church, stood up, shot the guy, he's gone. Okay, This is what happens when you allow people to defend themselves. Imagine what could have happened if you waited for law enforcement to show up, all right? How many more lives could have been lost? Instead, we have a person who's armed, defends himself, saves the rest of the congregation. This is what I'm talking about as far as Second Amendment rights. Here's a report from the Washington Examiner. Many Democrats and liberal media figures sneer at the good guy with a gun narrative when it comes to the debate over gun control, dismissing it as a myth clung to by Bible-thumping rednecks. Yet, if there was ever a single incident to remind us how wrong they are, it's the tragic church shooting that was thankfully stopped in its tracks on Sunday. An armed intruder interrupted a morning service at West Freeway Church of Christ near Fort Worth, Texas, disrupting the ceremony and shooting several worshiping Christians. At least 2 people are dead as a result, including the suspect. But things could have been much, much worse. 2 armed people attending the service intervened and shot the attacker in his tracks after just seconds, undoubtedly saving many lives. So, there was no law enforcement actually on the scene. If you had to wait for them to show up, if someone had seen what was going on, called the police, waited, how many more people would have lost their lives? Instead, we have an armed citizen, thanks to legislation passed in Texas that allows people to carry firearms in places of worship. That saved the day. Here's more from the story. There is ample research, not just inspiring anecdotes to confirm how common defensive gun use is. One study examining the prevalence of self-defense concluded that almost all national survey estimates indicate that defensive gun uses by victims are at least as common as offensive uses by criminals, with estimates of annual uses ranging from 500,000 to more than 3 million in the context of about 300,000 violent crimes involving firearms. Defensive gun use is not a myth. After how this heroic act unfolded, we should all thank God that this is the case. All right, so what that means is every time you hear a story or watch a report on the news about someone using a gun in violence, someone attacking someone, there's someone out there who's defending himself or herself with a firearm. Okay, that's what it's all about. The Second Amendment obviously was put in to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. It's also designed to protect ourselves from other people, people who go rogue, people who are unstable, people who want to do us harm. That's why we are allowed to have firearms. It's not just about going to the range with your buddies. It's not just about hunting, outdoorsman stuff. It's about defending yourself against other people and against the government. And we saw it in action here. And it was just, if you watch the video is out there. Within just a second of the bad guy shooting, he's taken out. And he's taken out that quickly because these people were allowed to defend themselves. It was just, that's the way it should be. And I hope this serves as an example, just like this story showed, of how we should handle these types of situations. Next, I want to go from the inspiring to the outrageous, because I saw this headline and I just couldn't believe it. And it just shows how twisted, the world truly is coming to an end when we have all this stuff about men being women and men participating in women's sports and the left pretending it's okay, and just stories talking about he when it's really a woman. Now I've seen it all with this headline. I want to put this up. This is from the Daily Mirror over in UK. And just take a look at this headline. Transgender man gives birth to non-binary partner's baby with female sperm donor. All right, did you get that? Did you understand all of that in the headline? Here it is one more time. Transgender man gives birth to non-binary partner's baby with female sperm donor. It's just, there's so much to dissect in that one headline. It's probably the most amazing headline I've ever seen. It's so outrageous. Here's part of the story. Proud dad Reuben Sharp today tells how he gave birth to a miracle baby in Britain's most modern family. The 39-year-old transitioned to a man, meaning this is a woman who gave birth, 12 years ago. But he still had maternal instincts, and 6 years ago stopped taking testosterone in the hope of one day having a child. And that dream came true when he and partner Jay had a bouncing baby. Jay is non-binary, so does not identify as male or female. The sperm donor was a trans woman, of course, meaning a dude, and even the doctor was transgender. So this is, oh my gosh, this is so messed up. The story goes on to say that Jay, the non-binary one, it's a woman, had her breast removed so she can be more, ambiguous. And they had a guy who goes around as a woman donate the sperm. So the sperm donor came from a woman. The man gave birth, and the whole thing is outrageous. But this is what's going on in society, and this is supposed to be considered normal. It's just outrageous. So next, I want to talk about President Trump, because on the last show and ongoing, I've been talking about what he's been doing for the minority communities, especially the black community. And he just slowly and surely starting to get credit for just remarkable accomplishments. And he's making a dent into the Democrat stranglehold that has been on the black community as far as voting. He is chipping away at that, and he's chipping away at it because he actually lives up to the rhetoric, and he's actually getting things done. So on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday, they were talking about stories that were underreported or things you wish you covered. And Major Garrett over at CBS, used to be at Fox News, said this about President Trump.
This administration, because of President Trump's quiet prodding, has done quite a bit for funding of historically black colleges and universities. The First Step Act, which was a massive first step toward criminal justice reform.
So Major Garrett is talking about President Trump's accomplishments within the black community. He talks about college funding. He talks about criminal justice reform, and he adds more to it.
Just a couple of weeks ago, in this newly signed defense bill, there is a law that says if you are seeking work for the federal government or any contractor, you don't have to be asked, and you cannot be asked about your criminal history until right toward the end. That's a significant change, long sought by criminal justice advocates. Plus opportunity zones in the tax bill directed at communities of color.
So it's accomplishment after accomplishment, and Major Garrett sums it up this way.
That is a legacy on the agenda side that almost any president after 3 years would want to claim, particularly President Obama. Many of those things were sought, but you know what? Republicans would not go for it. Quietly, persistently, President Trump has pushed Republicans in this direction, and I think that's an undercovered story.
All right, so that's great stuff from Major Garrett. It shows what President Trump's doing. I'm going to be hammering this home all the way through Election Day, all the way through his second term, because he's the only president that has actually lived up to what he's talked about and is actually reaching out to everybody. This is what's great about conservative principles, is that we don't make up a voting block of constituencies and saying, hey, you're a victim, vote for us. You're a victim, vote for us. No, it's policies that are designed to help and protect everybody and allow everyone to flourish if they desire to. That's what President Trump is doing. So finally, a couple quick hits before you go. As if you didn't need any other reason not to vote for Joe Biden, he said recently that he'd consider appointing Barack Obama to the Supreme Court. So keep that in mind. And also, as 2020 kicks in, there's going to be new laws in California. One of them is that it'll make it illegal for public schools to suspend students from kindergarten through fifth grade for defying teachers and administrators. Why? Why can't you suspend them anymore? Because the suspensions allegedly were used disproportionately against people of color, as if it's a weapon, the suspension. So, because more people of color were suspended, these kids, now we're not going to suspend anybody. Good luck with that one. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.